Behind the tactical console, Sector Commander Krell moved with a frantic, jerky precision. His three-fingered hands were no longer bare chitin. Instead, they were wrapped tightly in layers of heavy, non-porous industrial plastic that crinkled with every movement. Sweat, the human word for the suicide leaking from his skin, pooled beneath the transparent film. Across the sector-wide channel, he screamed a single override code. There would be no second chances. The part that keeps me up at night? The fact that he offered me a sip. You'll want to hear how that ended. The same rhythmic tapping. I'd first heard it 6 hours earlier, when the sommelier's fingers drummed against the glass. 6 hours ago, the diplomatic suite had been a place of quiet luxury, scented with the musk of 1,000 different alien cultures. Nobody was screaming then. The station's climate control hummed at a perfect, bone-dry 30% humidity, a comfort Krell had taken for granted. Jax, the human boy with the strange, narrow eyes, stood by the side table. He looked small in his crisp white sommelier's jacket, far too young to be handling the delicate negotiations of the core sector. Between his steady hands sat the crystal decanter, its faceted sides catching the artificial starlight of the room. He wasn't looking at the high-ranking officials. Instead, he was focused entirely on a linen cloth, using it to wipe away a faint haze of moisture forming on the glass. "It's a bit warm in here, isn't it?" Jax asked, his voice casual. He adjusted his collar, and Krell noticed the skin of the boy's neck was beginning to glisten. "The atmosphere is regulated at standard desert cluster parameters," Krell replied, his triple eyelids blinking in a slow, dismissive rhythm. Jax shrugged, a motion that seemed to ripple through his entire frame. "I'm sure it is. My apologies. Back home, my planet is about 71% water. Keeps the air from getting too dry. According to official sector security record 701, biological matter is classified by its primary solvent group. Most of the galaxy belongs to the ammonia or methane clusters, stable substances that allow for the slow, orderly exchange of nutrients. Solvent group 7, however, is a different beast altogether. Liquid dihydrogen monoxide is the universal solvent, a substance so aggressively corrosive that it can carve through solid basalt given enough time. In its pure form, it is the primary ingredient in high-velocity industrial cutters. Submission. That was the only logical conclusion for the dampness appearing on the human's brow. In many low-gravity cultures, the expulsion of internal fluids was a ritualistic display of vulnerability, a way to show a superior that you were keeping no secrets. The human was terrified of us, Krell decided. He was leaking his own vital essence to prove his honesty. The commander felt a surge of professional pride as he polished his upper chitin, dismissing the boy's discomfort as the natural reaction of a primitive species. Then came the sound of the stopper being pulled. A low, hollow pop echoed through the chamber, followed immediately by the scent. It was sharp, clean, and utterly alien. Jax tilted the decanter over a small glass, his movements fluid and practiced. Into the vessel fell the clear, shimmering liquid. It looked harmless, like liquid diamonds, but the way it clung to the sides of the glass felt wrong. It was too heavy, too eager to flow. Every official in the room went still. We didn't know the chemistry yet, but our primal instincts were screaming at the proximity of something fundamentally wrong. The station's sensors, calibrated for the dry atmospheres of the gas giants and the chitin wastes, began to flicker. A soft chime sounded from Krell's wristcom, a minor atmospheric variance warning. He ignored it. He was too busy watching the human. "A vintage selection," Jax whispered. Beneath the red emergency lighting that turned every face the color of old blood, the reality of the situation began to settle into the commander's bones. The human submission ritual, the terrifying, constant leaking of his internal solvents, was accelerating, with the moisture now rolling down his temples in thick, clear beads. It wasn't just on him anymore. The crystal decanter sat in a growing ring of dampness on the fine mahogany table, the wood beneath it beginning to swell and darken as the fibers absorbed the human's beverage. Krell watched, transfixed, as a single droplet escaped the rim of the glass and fell toward the high adjudicator's lap. "It is a simple vintage," Jax continued, unaware of the tectonic shift in the room's atmosphere. He held the glass up to the light, admiring the way the liquid caught the spectrum. We call it spring-fed. It's the purest form of the solvent. Across the table, the high adjudicator leaned back, his respiratory vents fluttering in a frantic, uneven rhythm. His skin, usually a vibrant, healthy slate gray, was turning a pale, sickly ivory. Between us, the air itself seemed to thicken. I surreptitiously activated the chemical analyzer embedded in my wrist link, my 3 digits trembling as they brushed the interface. Scrolled the red warning. Solvent Group 7 detected. Concentration, 99.8%. Jax, I said, my voice sounding like dry parchment being torn. Your planet. You said it was 71% this substance. The human took a sip. He actually swallowed it. Into his biological system, he invited the very thing that dissolved the hull plating of our starships. He looked at me with a terrifyingly casual smile, his throat moving as he processed the poison. Oh, easily, he replied. And we're mostly made of it too, about 60% by mass. If we don't have it, we just stop working. Knowledge. He was a walking hull breach. Every breath he exhaled was carrying microscopic droplets of the universal solvent into our recycled air. The submission ritual, the localized environmental disaster on his skin, was accelerating. Beneath the mahogany table, the sensor link pulsed a steady, silent red. I polished my upper chitin with a frantic, scraping motion, trying to scrub away the thought of the human's touch. A remarkable adaptation, the high adjudicator choked out. Before the panic could take hold, I reached forward. With a slow, steadying breath, I adjusted the tilt of my holographic nameplate by 0.5 millimeter. It sat perfectly square now. And now, in the tactical deck, the crinkle of industrial plastic was the only reality left. Behind the reinforced blast doors of the command center, the air was scrubbed, filtered, and bone-dry. Sector-wide override. I commanded, my voice flat. Initiate the Alpha 6 evacuation protocol. Total station abandonment. Out in the docking ring, the chaos was silent and absolute. From the observation window, I saw Ensign Tvak. He was only 19, a boy who had spent his entire life studying the ancient, parched scrolls of our desert moon. In his frantic rush toward the last escape pod, he clutched a small ceramic bowl filled with the gray, desiccated salt of his ancestors, the only thing he had left. He tripped, the salt spilling across the deck plating, and the look of sheer existential terror on his face haunted me. He wasn't afraid of the vacuum. He was afraid of the humans leaking moisture. Came the order that broke the peace. Eject the diplomatic wing, I whispered. The docking clamps sheared. Through the viewport, the luxury suite drifted into the darkness of the sector. It looked like a discarded toy, a tiny speck of light containing the human and his crystal bottle. Commander Krell watched a single droplet of water roll down the glass and ordered the fleet to jump. In the void, the wing became a silhouette against the stars. The crystal decanter sat on the mahogany table, its facets reflecting the cold emergency lights. A single bead of moisture tracked a slow, jagged path down the glass. The mahogany beneath it began to warp, the wood fibers pulling apart in the silent dark. Outside, the dry vacuum of the sector remained an empty expanse of black and starlight.